Have you failed at dieting before? Well, join the crew. We all have. And I want to just talk about two reasons why we fail at dieting. There are others, of course. I don't want to oversimplify this, but in this little video, just want to provide some information, Dr. Miller, with 2 points to consider when making a diet change. Number one, diet, remember, is a noun. Diet is what you eat. Many times we approach dieting, verb, in such a way that we change, profoundly change, significantly change our diet now to something that is so far removed from what we've been eating, and maybe too expensive, maybe it's relying on supplements, whatever it may be, it's too far away from where we currently are. If you don't have a coach or somebody to help keep you accountable on this new plan, or your household hasn't changed, that, whatever it may be, as a coach, I highly recommend you get somebody that knows what they're doing. There's a lot of diet coaches that knows what they're doing, that can help you along this journey. But if you are on your own and you're trying to make this massive switch in your diet and your behavior in which you eat food, it's going to be very difficult if you move too far away from where you're at now. So that leads into number two. What can you do if you're on your own? What can you do to start seeing improvements in losing weight and your body composition, which is ultimately what the goal is for most of us. Even though we say it's the scale, it's not really the scale, it's body composition. So in terms of diet, number one, protein. Protein is and when you look in the research literature, it's the main driver in terms of macronutrients that, in terms of having the most profound effect. So the smallest change that has the most profound effect is what we're looking for here. Now, I'm going to exclude mindset issues right now, which are also very important. So the way in which you approach food, the way you use food potentially to make you feel better or as a celebration or whatever it may be. I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm just going to talk about, if we're just thinking about macronutrients and different foods, what would be some simple things to do? So let me give you a couple. Again, protein's number one. How much protein? At a minimum, you should be consuming, or try to consume, from where you are now to moving forward, try to consume another 30 grams from where you are now, unless that 30 grams puts you at 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that would be the ultimate goal. That's a lot of protein, I realize. And again, depending on your body size, that could be an inordinate amount of protein. So what I am saying is that would be like the ultimate range. That would be amazing if you could reach that. That would be probably significant, enough protein that would last you for a long period of time. You wouldn't have to change your protein intake. So if you do some sort of tracking, you might find that you're only taking, if you weigh 160 pounds, you might find you're only taking in 40 grams per day. And on average, it may be, that was just a good day. On average, it might be 30 grams. So if you can bump that up another 20 grams for the next 10 days and work it in, don't worry about meal timing. Don't worry about where you get it during the day. Just get it in to start with. Okay? Start with that major, again, the smallest change for the biggest result. So add 20 grams of protein in your day and then 10 days later, do it again and try to work up to at least 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. Okay? 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. That would be a great place to, again, to start if you find that 1 pound or 1 gram per pound of body weight is just too much for you, too expensive. It's too, you just feel bloated and feel terrible all day long, right? There is that balance. So we have optimal and we have practical. Sometimes you have to err on the side of practical, but that bump in protein, especially if you are under consuming protein, like you're well under, half a gram per pound, that would make a profound effect of increasing your daily protein intake by 20 to 30 grams. Second thing, vegetables. And I'll put a rider on here, fruit as well. I realize vegetables are not the most enjoyable thing for many people, but it has something very important in it, and that's fiber. And so does fruit, okay? Now, vegetables tend to have less caloric density than fruit. Fruit is fine, by the way. But in terms of vegetables, there's no hold barred when it comes to vegetables. Eat as many vegetables you want. Vegetables are self-regulating because of fiber. If you eat too many vegetables, you will crap out all the vegetables. So there's not, you don't have to worry about over-consuming vegetables. I know there's carbs in vegetables. Like, oh, peas and carrots. If you become obese on peas and carrots, you will probably be the first person to do so that is healthy metabolically, okay? That has a normal metabolism. That doesn't, in other words, doesn't have a clinical diagnosis of some abnormal metabolism. Okay, not this idea that I have messed up metabolism, like legitimately a clinical issue, a clinically diagnosed problem, with metabolism. Okay, otherwise, don't worry about it. Eat vegetables whenever you want, however you want. Okay. In general, the minimum would be 4 servings per day. That a serving is a cup. The bigger you are, the more vegetables you can eat. You could eat as many as 6 to 7 per day if you really like vegetables. Now, it's really important here that I distinguish vegetables from like green powders. I'm talking about real food here. Vegetables, snacks, whatever it may be, thrown into a meal, mixed into a meal, doesn't have to be separate. But that, vegetable ingestion is one of the most profound things next to protein in terms of the smallest change for the biggest effect. So just a couple things to get started with. Even if you added if you've been consuming 0 vegetables and you start consuming 1 serving per day, that's a move in the right direction to help manage hunger. You're going to be healthier because of all the micronutrients. Okay, and as a result of that blunting of hunger from the fiber, you will be less likely to overconsume other sources of calories like our liquid carbs and some of these things that get us into trouble. Okay, so just a couple points. The least amount of change for the greatest amount of effect in terms of positively changing body comp and changing and moving towards weight loss. Start from where you're at. That's what I would tell you in terms of making a change and you don't have any help to go along. Start with where you're at, because the changes that you make that are smaller and from where you're at are more sustainable in the long term than trying to rapidly overhaul your diet in a short period of time without any guidance. You're increasing the likelihood of failure.